Hey, how we all doing today? This is Mr. H again from Spalding Park Elementary, helping Mrs. Welts out with some of her art education videos. I got Kaylo here again with me, and I happen to find my middle school age son, Caston. He's coming up to join us. So, what we're gonna work on today is just another simple little lesson, working with three-dimensional forms and turning them into food, still life. So a couple of things that we're gonna talk about in this. So we're gonna learn how we can just draw simple spheres, turn them into oranges or whatnot. We're gonna learn how to draw some simple three-dimensional cubes and maybe do some butter. Also, learning how we can take a three-dimensional cylinder and turn that into cake, or maybe we can start doing some fancy stuff to it and making cupcakes. You guys all ready to begin?
Yeah.
All right, let's get this turned down. Everybody got paper?
Yep.
Okay, and again, I'm gonna use a Sharpie so that it shows up better on the camera. I recommend that everybody use a pencil while they draw this. Let's just start with some simple three-dimensional form practice here, and then we can turn them into some food art here in a little bit here. All right, so let's get started. Just drawing some basic three-dimensional forms here. I gotta remember, I gotta try and draw upside down. So let's start with a sphere. I'm gonna draw a little circle like this, like that. And then another thing that we got to keep in mind is that when there's three-dimensional objects, there's a light source. I always kind of draw like a little light source like that. It could be off the paper or whatnot. And then that light source is kind of reflecting light on there. So maybe if it's a shiny object, you might have a little sparkle of reflection right there.
And what I like doing is I like adding a window effect where I make a square like this.
Yeah.
And then I make a tooth-like
Okay.
incision like
Yeah,
that.
there we go.
And then it kind of
Nice.
looks like a window.
Okay, so different ways that you can do
Reflection.
reflections. Okay. Also, it's going to create a shadow on the edge of the sphere on the opposite side. And usually on rounded objects, it's kind of like a crescent kind of a shape. So I just kind of wiggle some lines in there in a crescent shape.
And then what I like doing is I just like filling in the side and then adding more shading details.
Depending on what kind of material you're using, crayons or watercolors or whatnot, you can kind of do shadows, all sorts of different techniques. Maybe we'll have another video just on shading techniques. Okay. And then finally, it's also going to create a shadow on the table or whatever surface it's sitting on. It usually just takes kind of a oblong shape or form like that. Just create a little shadow. And again, depending on what you're using, crayon, oil pastels, watercolors, whatnot, you can use that. Okay? All good on a three-dimensional sphere. All right, let's try the cube next. In the cube, you start off drawing a square, like so. And then, what we gotta do, try if I can do this upside down, is you have three diagonal lines that are all going the same direction. Depending on how you're looking at it, those angles could go different directions. But the big thing to remember here is make those angled lines all go the same direction. Kind of looks like a table that's fallen over. Then what we want to do is connect the back with parallel lines like this, and then like that. Okay. And there I've got my basic cube.
There's mine.
Okay. Yeah. It is. Good. Good. All right. Then we got our light source over here. So the light, it's going to be kind of shiny on this top here, but on the opposite side, that's where your shadow is going to be. So you can kind of shade that in if you want to. And there we got a cube. Very simple. And then of course, probably going to have a shadow on the table or whatever it is. Again, I'm just kind of squiggling it in there. Do a nice job when you guys do your own. And here's our cube.
We're kind of going fast because...
Yeah. Okay. Last three-dimensional form that we're going to work with today is a cylinder, like a pop can or a coffee cup or whatnot.
Those are easy.
Yeah, and we can turn cylinders into pretty much everything. So what I do with that, start off with a sideways oval, like that. So take your cylinder or your oval and then draw a straight line down the edge. So it looks kind of like the letter P.
Or a note.
Or a note, okay. And then do the same on the other side, like so.
And then connect the
Kind of looks like a round table now. Now at the
And
bottom,
then
this
we're
is a
gonna-
cylinder, right?
Yeah.
So it's rounded on top, but it looks like a square on the side. So is the bottom gonna be round or is it gonna be curved?
It's gonna be just round.
Yeah, it's gonna be curved like this. Whenever
I
I'm
did mine.
teaching cylinder, that's probably one of the first things I see. A lot of times I just do a straight line on the bottom. it's a cylinder, so it's round on top and a square on top. All right.
I made a flatter version.
Yeah, and you can have them tall or skinny or smushed, like a block of cheese like you got right there. Okay. Then shadow. So again, our light source is over here. So I'm going to do it on the opposite side. Kind of just squiggle down the edge there.
Ignore this. I made a
Yeah, it's all
mistake
right.
there. It's
Hey,
fine.
practicing, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah, do
So
this
you got
We
your
said
shadows on
that
there.
in the other video.
And then again, it's rounded, so I mean, if you want to get into really technical kind of detailed shading, it'd be really dark on the edge, and as it gets towards the center, it'd get a little bit lighter. And again, we might do another video on blending and shading later on. Kind of teach you a little of that. But for now, just so we can see that it's got some shadows on the edge because it's a round object. And we're gonna do the shadow on the table, so it's just gonna come off the edge over here, coming off the edge right like that, and just kind of
I ran out of room.
squiggle some lines in there.
I ran out a little bit of room.
And there we've got our cylinder. So sphere, cube, and cylinder. 3 basic shapes. And should we turn it into some food now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So with this, you can kind of look around your kitchen, find some different kinds of food. You got some. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna draw a cake using the cylinder method here. So what I have, I kind of sketched out a little bit here just so I can kind of visualize how I'm gonna do this. Use the pencil, it doesn't show up very good. So now I'm gonna use my Sharpie so it shows up, okay? So with a cylinder cake, I'm just gonna draw a big oval like this. Okay, now I didn't draw the whole thing because I wanted to cut out a little, like a piece of cake that was cut out. If you wanna do yours where it's a solid piece of cake, you can do that. I'm just gonna show you a little trick to make it look like it has a piece cut out. So I left a little bit right there. I'm gonna draw the line down my side like the letter P. And then on the other side, I'm drawing my other line over here, okay? And then I'm gonna connect the bottom with that curved line. So I'm gonna go down like this. I'm gonna stop a little bit right there, and then I'm gonna come back out over here, okay? All right. Then what I wanna do is I wanna find the center of my cylinder. So I'm just gonna do a little dot right there. And I'm gonna kind of draw a V going to the edge like that. That kind of is gonna show where my cake has been cut. And then of course, I'm gonna match that with the line at the bottom. I'm gonna do another one at the bottom over here. And it kind of looks like a cheese wheel here, maybe. So then I gotta draw the inside of the cake going like that. And that's gonna go the same direction as that angle right there. Draw a little bit nicer there. And then I don't know about you guys, but I like frosting inside my cake.
I hate it.
What? Oh yeah, you don't like frosting, do you?
I just don't like frosting.
So I'm gonna draw another parallel line like that. It's gonna be my kind of cream shit. Buttercream.
chocolate.
You like chocolate? Okay, we can make the chocolate cake. So we got some frosting in the middle there, some chocolate. Okay. Now cake. I don't know about you, but usually when you have cake, it's on a plate or a platter. And if you think about a platter, it's basically the top of a cylinder. So just draw a big old oval like this, round, come around the back. Kind of looks like a hat, like so. Okay, there's our plate. And then, of course, our cake, it's gotta be sitting on a table, right? So what I usually do is I kind of draw the 3-dimensional table where it's kind of passing behind my cake like this. Okay? And there I go, I got some cake. Now I can decorate it. If you want to add some little spheres on top for some cherries or something. You can decorate, you can add like a little pattern around there, however you want to decorate your cake. Have some fun with patterns and designs. And there we got some. Now, we have some examples that the kids have been working on here. Cassie, I'll show some of yours that you made here. You made some
Yes.
some fruit. Remember, we got to show it upside down so it shows up there.
Yeah.
So Caston was taking his basic sphere, turned it into an orange. He made an apple by just kind of, instead of drawing it around, he just kind of looked at where it was round on the edges, but then the apple kind of has some details on the top where it kind of curves in like that. So he very simply made his apple like that. A pear, if you think about it, you got your sphere right there, and then you just added that little lump on top to make a little pear right there. Made his table, was doing some shadows there. Got any other ones in there, Caston?
I said you had a sketch.
I got one.
Got a sketch? Oh, nice. Sketching out here, some different ones here. We're doing some shadows and reflections there. Again, it's kind of hard to see without the Sharpie there. Let's take a look at Kaylo's here.
I just did one.
Kaylo's doing her orange right there. She's practicing her shadows. Did the apple, so again, kind of rounded, but then she just kind of, instead of doing a complete round bottom, she just kind of did the apple design there. A little grape right over there, okay? And then when you're all done with your food art, get your crayons out, get your colored pencils, whatever you have, And then you can add some color. Maybe instead of one cake, you can do a couple cupcakes
I got
on a
one too.
counter there. Kayla did one too. She did some cupcakes sitting on the counter.
I'm not very good.
And there we go. So, that's our lesson for today. Doing our simple three-dimensional forms, turning it into some food still life. And again, you can find all sorts of still life items in your kitchen. Coffee cup still life, cake still life, the butter still life, whatever you want to do. What do you guys think? Is it good?
Yeah.
All right. We will see you next time. Have a good day.
Thanks for being with us today.
All right.